Welcome back to iGaming. Today we're going to be talking about the Icarus Week 50 update. This one is a massive one. It is the open world update number 2. And what it includes is open world missions. This is something that I myself and the community have been waiting for a very long time. And hopefully it's a step in the right direction into making open world a much better experience for everyone. Open world is going to be something that's brilliant for everyone when it comes to building and the longevity of the game. Currently, as it stands, the way of dropping in and building and then leaving and then dropping in and building, doing whatever you got to do and leaving and rinse and repeat, which is a little bit tedious. And, you know, the whole session-based thing is definitely a tough one. I find that very difficult to actually play around with. And I know there's a lot of die-hard Icarus community members that absolutely love that aspect and that challenge of having to redo things. But you've got to have the right grind set to do that. And I don't really have it, especially when I want to do one mission and it can take upwards of 6 to 8 hours of hard grafting, building, and then all of that work be gone at the end of that mission. Hopefully, open world going into the future is going to be something that takes that aspect away ever so slightly. They have said they want to keep the core gameplay in with that there's specialist missions, but hopefully we can bring some of those normal missions into open world. Let's see what the team have got to say. Our initial implementation of open world has been very well received, and we're excited to follow this up with the addition of dynamic missions to open world sessions together with a bunch of performance improvements. These open world missions allow us to bring a richer experience directly into our persistent world experience inside an open world session. You can now launch special missions from a short range radio in your base. 8 mission types and variations depending on your biome and difficulty give you over 50 different versions to play, which is an absolutely brilliant start. 50 different mission versions just from the one update. Awesome. That adds a whole new host of gameplay in. Performance improvements to reduce the impact of Unreal Engine RVT tech have been implemented that will improve performance significantly for many players. We've also introduced a new bug reporting feature which will help provide a more detailed debug info to help us solve more challenging bugs such as disappearing deployables and voxels upon reload. Finally, we can talk a little bit more about decentralization and why it's important after the outage we've experienced earlier this week. Now, if you didn't know, there was a massive outage and they've been pushing out hotfixes and issues all throughout the week to sort of counteract what's been going on. But it does seem like that's all been sorted now, which thankfully is okay, especially for everyone that was jumping in. Hopefully nobody lost anything. And, you know, hopefully it's all fixed now, but we shall see. Now, open world missions, the most exciting part about this update, which we're going to talk a lot about that in this one. I'm going to briefly skim over the other stuff, the decentralization, and we're probably going to touch on the performance a little bit as well. But let's start off with the good stuff. Establishing open world mode has allowed us to expand the game into a more persistent experience, but we wanted to bring our mission experience into this. This week we're bringing a variety of dynamic missions into open world, missions with varying objectives and challenges that can be launched straight from your open world session, with variations based on your map, biome and selected difficulty. The new short range radio can be made at a crafting bench after unlocking it in the blueprint tree. This requires 10 wood, 8 ropes and 15 iron. Once crafted and deployed, engaging with it will provide 2 contracts to choose between, with any you select being repeatable in the future, which is good. Now, what type of missions, I hear you say? There are 8 types available. Now, these will obviously differ depending on where you are on the map and the difficulty you've actually chosen. But for number 1, we have Hunt. Kill a quota of wild animals that spawn in the biome. Number 2 is Grow. Grow a quota of vegetables and deliver them to your pod. Number 3 is Mine. Collect a quota of requested ore and redeliver it. Number 4 is Collect. Search for a downed prospector and collect and deliver their ID. Now, I'm just going to pause there from the list. That is something that I've been wanting for a very long time. I would love to get a little bit more story behind the old prospectors that have dropped on Icarus and what they've learned, what they've done, and how they've actually worked around things, and potentially seeing what actually brought them to their downfall and down to their knees. I think that would be a really interesting sort of side storyline as we're moving around in the open world area, alongside seeing structures and stuff like that that previous prospectors have put up, but that is something for a completely separate video. Number 5 is Scan. Scan a location with the scanner provided and also defend it. Number 6 is cache and collect a cache from a previous prospector. And number 7 is boss, kill a wandering boss animal. And finally, number 8, craft and deliver 3 tools of varying tech levels. Completion of these assigned missions will result in a reward pod descending to your location, where you can choose between one of 3 offered rewards to be granted XP for your efforts. These missions differ from those of the normal mission game modes, so don't forget to still play those original modes if you want to experience and unlock boss, enemy items, or find exotics. In the future, we are looking at more ways to integrate the rich mission experience of the base game with the open world mode, while still having the unique standalone missions. We have experienced 3 months of back-to-back growth in player numbers, revenue, and playtime, much of which driven by open world mode. As such, it is clear that players enjoy this, and our community and many content creators have been provided excellent advice and feedback on how to focus the experience. As such, we will be expanding and developing open world mode based on your feedback. Please continue to let us know your thoughts and ideas on how to develop this further. Now, if you do want to get in touch with the team and let them know your thoughts on open world and ways they could potentially improve the game, then all of the links you will need are in the description down below. So please scroll down and do check that out, support the team. The game is great, and it's going to be better with open world features fully in there. Now, next up is performance. I'm just going to run through this one pretty quick, but they have been speaking about performance upgrades quite a bit recently, and it seems like this patch has got quite a bit in. But Icarus has previously utilized Unreal Engine's runtime virtual texture technology to provide terrain texture details and environmental blending for rocks and cliffs. But heavy use of this tech has led to a GPU bottleneck, but they've substantially eased the strain caused by the bottleneck, improving performance, especially FPS. We've released this improvement to our experimental branch testers early in the week and received feedback ranging from no change to significant improvement, with one user reporting frame developments from 14 FPS to 50 FPS on epic settings, and another from an average of 40 to 70 all the way up to 60 to 80 with DLSS on. Some other encouraging feedback including players now being able to spot creatures at greater distances and having the landscape load far quicker and more seamlessly. So obviously that does depend on your individual hardware settings and whatever you've done, especially if you're an open world and you've built a hell of a lot of stuff. So, take that into account. I've got a relatively good PC, so I don't really have many issues. Hopefully that's the same for the majority of people. Now, this one is important for bugs. They do want to address the larger bugs, but disappearing buildings, deployables, and ore veins, things that keep happening and they're a regular occurrence, but they've added a bug report button in-game. I can't stress this enough as an actual player, and I don't understand how more players don't understand it. I get a lot of comments, not just Icarus, but a lot of other games as well, telling me about bugs. Report them to the devs and report them in-game, because that's how things get addressed. If there's enough people reporting a specific bug, then the much quicker teams can actually jump in, not just Icarus, but in general, jump in and actually try and find a fix. If you're reporting it on YouTubers' comments, there's a good chance that people aren't going to see it. If you're bitching about it on Facebook, Twitter, etc., unless the team can actually see it, the more than likely it's not going to get sorted. So always try and report bugs through the correct channels. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but just do it. It saves a lot of headaches for everyone. Now, data decentralization. That is something that they're planning on doing, which is basically, in a nutshell, trying to remove the online requirement and having everything stored on your actual PC. So there's that. That's pretty much the gist of it. I'm not going to go too much into that because that's very techie stuff. If people are interested, once again, all the links are in the description if you do want to check this full thing out for yourself. Now, when I was reading through these patch notes, I saw this headline and was a little bit confused. But DLC update and monetization stance. Now, this is a message from Dean Hall, the CEO of Rocketworks. Icarus is the first major title that the studio has produced, and it would be fair to say that the launch was rocky. With the launch, we undertook a review of how we were working and made adjustments, as well as key decisions. One commitment we made was to work on the quality of the base game and customer satisfaction before we looked at monetization. We originally had plans for more additional monetization, such as more DLC and expansions, but we have a moral objection to monetizing the project while the reception was deservedly mixed. Instead of this, we have committed to weekly updates, even through holiday periods, to build customer and player confidence to allow us time to develop the experience, and as such, we're not at a point where we feel comfortable releasing a paid DLC, as we feel there's still a lot of work to be getting done with the base game to an experience players are satisfied with. To ease our production processes, we publish our changelogs verbatim, so keen eyes will have noticed that we've been doing a lot of work on future DLC content for some time, and we are mostly there in a number of aspects, but I will continue to delay the launch of any DLCs until we are satisfied the base game is a broadly representative of what players want and expect. Even when we do launch future DLC, we will continue to prioritise the development of base game and have DLC being a supporting content. Additionally, the studio is committed to ensuring DLC does not divide the community, such as when playing with friends. There's no specific target date for the launch of paid DLC content, but we will continue to listen to your comments and discuss it with you here and on Discord, which I think is fair enough. You know, pushing out DLC when you've got a buggy game, that things aren't being fixed, is not good at all. So I completely agree with them holding back on the DLC. They did do one DLC, I think. What I can't remember what it was. Maybe they didn't. I can't remember. I know I bought the big Wowie edition of Icarus because I was that buzzing for it. And like I said, the game is absolutely brilliant. I love it. The only thing that I don't like about the game, the one thing that is a key element of the game, is the one thing I don't like about it, and that is obviously the session-based thing where you drop in and you just... Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Other than that, though, absolutely love the game. Absolutely love it. Anyway, that is it from me today. We are going to wrap that up. Hopefully you've enjoyed and you're excited for these missions. If you are, please drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and stick around for much more Icarus and other survival content. There is plenty more to come. I've been Wired, you've been awesome, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.